Chris, thank you for joining me on the third episode now of my new podcast called Getting to Know You, where I'm
Cool.
aspiring to get to know interesting things about people, how they got where they are. Tell me first, where'd you grow up?
I was born in Puerto Rico and actually went moved to Florida. Then Charlotte's basically where I was raised. It's like 20 plus years, Charlotte, North Carolina, and now I'm back in Florida. So it's kind of a little circle, I guess.
Sure.
Yep.
What did your parents do when you were growing up?
Uh, God, my pretty crazy. Both big families. My mom's my grandmother. She's gone now, but she was raised in a family of like nine sisters, two brothers, and then my dad, he's actually comes from a family of like seven sisters, two brothers.
Was
So I
this
actually have a lot of extended family. I only have one brother myself, though. Me and my parents were smart, and they just had two children. So
what was that all in Puerto Rico?
yeah, well, they both went to New York. I guess that was like the thing for Puerto Ricans to do in the '40s. They all migrated to New York and everything, but now, my parents are in their 70s. I'm turning 40 this year in about 2 weeks, and
Okay.
families everywhere. I got family in Arizona, Tennessee, but mainly still all Florida and New York, and some in Puerto Rico. I know a lot of left Puerto Rico since like it's become Hurricane Central there. So so they
Okay.
all.
So most of your life was in Florida that you can recall anyway?
No, most of it was in Charlotte. Like I lived in Charlotte from
Okay.
almost like fourth grade till 5 years ago, pretty much. Yeah. So
What
That's
prompted the
about that's
move?
about I guess 20 something years. I can't think of the number exactly, but
And what prompted the move there?
to Charlotte, my dad's job. He worked for well, it used to be called a company called Union Carbide. I
Okay.
know that's they're long gone. They got taken over by Dow, but he was moving around. He managed some kind of sales account. Some big regions, and his first region was the Caribbean, and then it was the Southeast, and then it became the whole East Coast, and that kind of moved us up. And then he retired. Like, God, he retired a long time ago, and now it's just I moved to Florida with them. Kind of as just because otherwise I would have stayed in Charlotte probably on drugs and then so now the story is 5 years sober, 5 years being driven crazy by them, and just that's it.
Better to be driven crazy and sober, buddy.
Yeah. Going crazy on drugs is a little, especially hard drugs.
Well, were you attracted to were you always attracted to art growing up in school?
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned to somebody the other day how I won awards when I was in elementary school for my art. Like I think in Charlotte, like there's some contest I got second place in, and one of the funny stories is, we went to this place in Charlotte called Spaghetti Warehouse where they're having some Father's Day art contest, and they had you scribble on the back of your, placemat, one of those, how Red Lobster gives you that little thing where it's, a bunch of like, like kids games and stuff,
Sure.
and so the contest was like this little box where you could just draw your father while you were sitting in the restaurant. So I drew my father all sitting in the restaurant, and I actually won second place there too. And the gift, of course, was a gift card for the restaurant again. So it's just like,
Right.
it wasn't, just a good way to
Self-serving
recycle business.
competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, you're eating here and paying now. So next time you get $50 off. So that was
Right.
good. It was fun. For a little kid, you're just like, wow, I won something. And you
Sure.
don't realize that, it's just corporate
Right.
propaganda, I guess.
What about into high school? Did you attend college?
Yeah, I went to college. I went to NC State, and I went to the school design there, which is actually a pretty high end school design. Like it was like what I think out of 600 applicants, I was one of the 100 chosen, and like a lot of kids there, they're like they go there and they're constantly applying. I ended up in the school's full of like 6 year seniors, and like all these people joining like in their sophomore junior year, and I was one of the few that came in as a freshman, but kind of screwed up that opportunity with, a DUI and a couple possession
Mm.
charges. They kicked me out for like, I think 2 semesters, and I was just like, I don't feel like going back. So I just started working, and then went to UNC Charlotte, art school there, and they, advanced me through their program. I only had like a year and a half of credits to do, and within a semester, I dropped out of there too, and started dealing with a whole bunch of stuff in Charlotte that happened and everything. And so,
Okay. Well, I see a few pieces behind you. You want to tell me about where these came from?
yeah, sure. I'm gonna step away from the camera so that way I can look
Sure.
them a little close and make sure that I don't. I gotta see, make sure I have them in camera and everything. This is one that recently was accepted into an exhibit here in Orlando at City Arts. It's it's basically based on the all-seeing eye. As the all-seeing eye sees all, and there's a bunch of basically little scenes like up here. There's castle in the sky, and down here is the guy in his personal prison, and you can kind of see like all the scenes that I created all around it and everything. Just a bunch of symbolism, and this is one back here where I recently got framed. It's basically like, God, this is tougher than you think when trying to angle it without being in the
Oh,
screen.
I bet it is.
But that's one there, and this is another one there. It's just I call it my Picasso piece. I just did a bunch of hands and faces, and that's pretty much it.
Now, what did your mother do for a living?
Oh, she stay at home mom, stay at home mom. Until we got to high school, she decided to start working at Belk, and she really enjoyed that.
Okay.
She really enjoyed that. I think she really enjoyed because she was a career woman before she met my dad. My parents, they got married early, like I guess in their mid 20s, but then for some reason I was a stubborn kid to conceive, and like it took them like 6 years for them to finally like have me. She had to go to doctors and all, and I guess back in the 80s, the only thing they could do is just give you drugs to hopefully hospital visits and stuff. So they didn't have me till they were in the mid 30s, and that's why I have 70-year-old parents. Almost 80. My dad's like 78 or 79. I think my mom's like 75. So I have old parents, and they're really old school, and I guess it rubs off on me because now I'm an old cranky soul too. So
What is you said you have a brother?
yeah, he's in he stays in Germany, Dusseldorf, Germany, with his my sister-in-law, and they just had their second nephew like this literally like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
And so now I have two nephews, and that means I never have to have kids, so I have to worry about it.
What brought him to Germany?
he's he's a funny story. He's smart. My dad's an engineer, so he took the engineering path, and he graduated from biomedical engineering at NC State, and then he went on to work on some job right there at the town Raleigh, and then he decided to like go on a sabbatical, and he went to Columbia for like 3 years, teaching kids English and playing soccer with them, and he was he has a bunch of crazy stories from there, but he basically lived like in a poor Colombian village, no AC. Like he'd send me pictures of his house. It was like a concrete house, and like the windows were like just open, like there was no glass on them, and it was just like it was wild. I don't see how he lived like that for 3 years, like he had one roommate, and his best friend was some dog, and I think they're the only two people that maybe spoke English in the village or whatever, and they
Did he
just.
did he enjoy his time?
Oh, he loved it. He loved it. He loved it. But eventually, money, becomes a worry. I mean, I think they paid him like, whatever they pay him, like, 20 grand a year or something. And I mean, God, he was eating like, pretty much the same stuff every day, it's pretty much whatever the village, women decide to cook for them, and that's pretty much it, and in Puerto Rico and Colombia, there everyone has their staples. So I guess pretty much he was having that every day. Rice and beans. pig, roasted pig or something,
Sure.
or whatever. Sure they were catching chickens that were running around the village and just cooking them
Yeah.
on the spot and stuff. So that's pretty cool. He has a bunch of stories about that. The hot, humid weather. I mean, it was he was in the mountains, Bogota and everything. So it was actually we went through cold winters and hot summers. You forget that in the around the equator, if you live in the mountains, it still gets cold. It's not just because the sun is right on you. That's going to stay like Arizona hot all year or something. Now, if you live above a mile above sea level, you still get snow somehow. So in the
Yeah.
on the equator, so
Well, what are you doing with yourself these days?
nothing. I'm a laziest MF forever. So, I mean, I don't know. I just
Well,
draw all day. Today, like I know I was late to the podcast because I was taking a nap because I stay up till the sun comes up basically, and just I don't.
well,
I,
tell
I,
me
I try.
what
I'm trying to be a successful artist, but I'm barely struggling. I guess you can say.
what would you consider successful as an artist?
Yeah. Well, there's successful is there's the real world success, or the success that we all try to achieve, finance, acclaim, recognition, all that. But to me, success is just what I gauge myself. If I keep improving, if I'm still producing stuff that I think is interesting and that I know that I like for myself, then that's successful. And the key thing
Okay.
as an artist to me is to always keep improving. Just always do something different. Don't get stuck in one niche or like doing one theme or something, because then it's just like if you do become successful with that, you're pigeonholing yourself. All of a sudden you'll be just the guy drawing lighthouses all the time, or the guy, just drawing dog portraits all the time, and I guess that's good as a financial aspect. That's what a lot of artists choose to do because that's steady income when you're known for something and then everyone comes to you for that. But otherwise, to me, I'd get bored as hell, and if my artistic pursuits ever became like a serious career, I think I would jump ship really quick. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Well, so this black and white over your right shoulder,
yeah,
where did that idea start?
that idea start. Honestly, the idea of the all-seeing eye just popped in my head, I guess, and I was just like, because I have this series. I'm starting a series of black and white, freeform like that. I don't know if you can see the one right above it. There's like it's it
Yeah.
says seek and you shall find, and I have this other one somewhere where it's like the three monkeys theme, where see no, hear no, speak
Hmm.
no evil. And there's this other one where like I just did a bunch of gestures and clowns, and I put a little slogan on it, says jokes on who, kind of play on jokes on you. I said jokes on who, what a question mark. And it's just, I know those are fun because they're free form. You can go all kinds of themes and everything, and they're just not pretty much the style stays the same, but it's just a different theme each one. I'm trying to, and they're easy to do, because I don't have to look at a picture. I don't have to really, except for this one. This one took like over 100 hours because I just went crazy. I like going crazy with detail, either because I'm a nut job myself, or because I just have all the time in the world to just be a tedious jackass.
Maybe both. Maybe both.
Yeah, maybe both. Yeah.
Do you read much?
I actually don't. I used to, just read the books that were assigned to me in school. Like I remember, like my all-time favorite. I don't know if you ever get a chance to read the Phantom Toll Booth. That's a
Okay.
really cool kid's story with cool illustrations. It's actually like a kid's novel. It's kind of crazy because they give it to you and it's like a thick little 200-page book, and you're like, I'm only in fifth grade. What the heck are they trying to do to me?
Right.
But then you start reading it, you realize, oh, it's a kid's book. It's just, but it's one of the most awesome books. One of the managed, and that really got me inspired. I guess that inspires your imagination. Kind of, not so much to write, but just to be a creative person, because you realize, I don't know, it's a crazy story with a dog running around with a clock, you know, that's embedded in him and everything. It's a great story. So.
Yeah. All right.
Kind of trippy too for a kid, kind of just like, oh, I wonder how can I see dogs with clocks embedded in them? And then, of
Yeah.
course, a year later, you're trying pot in sixth grade. So,
Well, tell me about that. What was your journey through that from, I guess, from right then till the worst point?
oh, jeez, man, I don't even know what the journey was. It's more like you just go for a ride.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, I started smoking pot in sixth grade. I remember my first drinking experience in eighth grade, and I was just stumbling around my friend's neighborhood, with a little, kind of like one of those soccer water bottles, those plastic water bottles, and just squirting liquor in my mouth, and like that I
Hmm.
had stolen from my parents' cabinets, and just like, and then and I guess I was always, kind of a shy kid. I wasn't shy, I was quiet though. There's a difference between being quiet and shy. Shy people, they just are afraid to, to get out there. Quiet, you just kind of just like, you'll be in the middle of a, huge situation, a whole huge commotion, and you're just going to be like, yeah, and you just don't say a word, kind of, just pay attention, observe to everything around you. And but if someone comes up to you and starts talking, you start talking to them back. But
Right.
a shy person, someone comes start talking to you, you start kicking your feet, just mumbling your words, kind of thing. So but anyway, so yeah, drugs through high school.
What are you doing for work now? Anything?
No, I'm on government disability. That's one of my things that happened in Charlotte. I kind of broke down, I guess, at UNC Charlotte, or whatever, and I ended up having paranoid schizophrenia. Could have been the drugs, because I started drugs when I was in 12. Maybe could have just been a brain malfunction, whatever happened. and
Yeah.
and and my dad was smart. This was before that recession in the mid 2000s. So he immediately realized, like he's just like, my son's having problems working. He's bouncing from job to job. And then he knew some of his family members on disability. So I guess he was just like, let's see what if this is good for my son. And sure enough, I was accepted within like into the disability program within 7 months. And then now I hear things like where people are on like 3-4 year waiting lists to be put on disability. So it's like, so I was really lucky with that, because otherwise I'd be working. I mean, now I can work. I'm sober, and well, maybe not. I have no clue. I haven't done it in so long. I don't know how it'd be. I mean, I still hear things in my head and think I'm hearing things from TVs and shit like that. And it's just, I ignore it all because, honestly, at this point, it's just an annoying little tedious little thing that happens, and I just, it is such a distraction. You lose concentration doing it, focus, and but it's just like, it's, you kind of just ignore it because it's just like, whatever, it's just
Right.
like a little fly swatting around you. You just, you hear a voice and you swat it away. And you're just like,
Sure.
okay. But it's been my life for 15 years, and you kind of just, deal with it. It's honestly gotten
Yeah.
pretty tedious and boring. I wish I could see shit. Wish I could hallucinate like real schizophrenics, so it'd be a little more fun or something.
Well, I don't know, bud. It sounds like a very different story than mine, man. I do wish you the best of luck with everything. So you said this one, this black and white is accepted for an exhibit?
Yeah, it's at City Arts. It's a downtown kind of art establishment called City Arts. And I was accepted into another exhibit at this small town outside Orlando called Osceola Performing Arts Center. It's really kind of like a hidden gem here in Orlando. Like, not too many people know about it, and I guess since I've been telling people about it and other artists that I've randomly met, that they're starting to go down there and realize, oh crap, this is a great place, because it's a, I guess it's a small town, but it's kind of locally funded a little bit, but it's a huge place. They got like a Broadway theater in there. They got music rooms. They have a kiln. They have, it's crazy, and it's awesome. Like, like no one would think, a place like this, because it's literally right off the highway, and you just, as soon as you turn off the on ramp, you'd miss it if you weren't looking to your left, and it's kind of just, and it's run by a really great lady. She's been really nice, and she's sweet, and she's actually just really she's a she was a traveling, artist herself, and I guess I never asked her if she does any more work. I guess I should ask her sometime if she does still does art herself, but she just mainly just takes care of the place and just keeps tries to get as much people coming into it as much, because since they're government funded, locally funded, they don't have to worry about bringing in money, but they do want to serve a purpose, and they want to keep bringing art and people there to enjoy what all forms of arts, which is
Sure.
what theater, music, visual, and literature. Those are the four forms of art. And she'd be willing to, and she's really good at posting things all over social media. She's really, unlike me, who just joined social media 6 months ago, she's fully versed and using it the way you're supposed to promote things and market yourself
Right.
and everything. So me,
Okay.
I've always
Well,
been
that
pretty
sounds good.
anti social media.
Yeah.
Facebook, I refer Facebook to Facebook. I say Twitter is for the chirpers,
Yeah.
and then I don't know, God knows there's probably like 7 or 8 other freaking platforms out there now,
Yeah.
like
I wish
Instagram.
I wish I wasn't quite as embedded in it as I am, but here we are. So I
Yeah, no, hey, I mean, I understand. It's not like I was basically in a haze for 10 years and woke up to this stuff. Because I started doing hard drugs in 2006, and I don't think Facebook or any of that stuff was really even full gear by then. I think it was pretty much like it had started, but it wasn't
it
like
was
the
I
way it
think it
was now.
was about 2 years in. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the way it was now, where like it's just like that is life. You're checking that shit every like two
Right.
minutes. Yeah, so
Right. Yeah.
like,
It's
oh,
not
someone
great.
like me. Oh, I'm being followed. And that's. I think
Yeah.
20 years ago, if you were being followed or random people liking you, that's you call up your lawyer for restraining order or something. So,
Yeah, it's different times for sure. Well, look, man, I appreciate your time. Good talking with you.
all right, cool, man, cool. Nice meeting you, Tim. Nice putting a
Yeah,
name to our face to the name.
that'll work.
Always message me because I do nothing. I am a lazy person on government checks. So.
Well, good luck with everything, man. We'll be in touch.
All right, Tim. Take care, man. Thanks for everything, man.
Thanks.